Welcome to the debate. Today, we're digging into the design philosophies that are really driving London's premium workspace market. We've got two very contrasting rental listings. One, a large multi-floor space in Fitzrovia that's all about synergy and community. And the other, a much smaller private offering in St James's that emphasizes, well, tranquility and high-touch support.
Right. And these listings aren't just different in, price or square footage. They really represent a fundamental split in how we even define a productive professional environment in today's world.
Exactly. So the central question for us is this. Which of these models, the big communal collaboration-focused space in Fitzrovia, or the smaller private high-service space in St James's, is actually better optimized for professional productivity and, I guess, long-term business success? I'll be arguing for the Fitzrovia model, asserting that scale and intentional culture building are the real drivers of growth.
And I'm going to challenge that premise. I believe the St. James's listing, which is all about clarity, privacy, and minimizing friction through dedicated support, actually offers a fundamentally more effective environment for the kind of deep, focused work that high-value businesses need to do, even with its smaller scale.
Okay, so let's start with Fitzrovia. This property, priced at $488 PCM for access to 6 floors, over 9,000 square feet, it's basically a manifesto for the modern office. It's designed to blend the, quote, traditional working office with a more contemporary approach. The whole place is just structured to build social capital. The listing is explicit about this. The open plan areas, the lounge, the reception, they're all engineered to, quote, inspire collaboration and socializing.
The marketing is certainly clear on the intent.
Right, but that intent is rooted in solid theory. This kind of scale, you combine that with 24-hour access and the location in a West End hotspot, and you create this potent community feel among like-minded professionals. The sheer flow of people across those thousands of square feet maximizes the chance for those, serendipitous encounters, that moment where two totally separate ideas just collide and create something new. This is what attracts and retains the kind of talent that wants an integrated lifestyle, making the whole collective opportunity far superior.
I can see the appeal of maximizing serendipity. I can, but I think that focus on synergy and scale often comes at a huge cost. Actual substantive output. Productivity, especially for businesses doing complex or conceptual work, really hinges on concentration, on minimizing cognitive load. And those qualities are they're nearly impossible to maintain in these large open hubs that seem to prioritize socializing above all else. The St. James's property, which is just a little bit more at 500 PCM, provides the necessary architectural structure to counter that chaos.
How so, exactly?
Well, it's marketed as a tranquil, central London office space. The listing specifically points out that it's on a quiet street, which is a very deliberate choice, actively rejecting that chaotic energy of the Fitzrovia hotspot. And crucially, the design is centered on private office suites for smaller businesses of up to 10 people. That's not an accident. It's an acknowledgement that small, high-performing teams need enclosure. They need control over their environment. And on top of that, the manned reception team on hand to provide administrative support shows a pragmatic commitment to efficiency, not just ambience. It's an execution-first philosophy.
This really gets us to the core disagreement here, doesn't it? The trade-off between maximizing collaboration versus protecting concentration. I'd argue that the Fitzrovia model's design, the open plans, the lounge, the mixing of people across 6 floors, is deliberately set up to speed up knowledge transfer and feedback loops. That dynamic movement, that mixing, it fuels spontaneous ideas and strengthens the culture, which is an increasingly critical thing for any scaling business.
I'm just not convinced by that line of reasoning, mostly because the behavioral science on open plan spaces often suggests the opposite. The constant low-level sensory intrusion you get in spaces designed for nonstop collaboration and socializing, it dramatically increases the cost of context switching. Every time someone gets interrupted or even just subconsciously has to tune out noise, they lose a significant amount of time getting back into that flow state they need for deep work. The St. James's model, by prioritizing quiet, private offices, it recognizes that for a team of 10 high-value people, the productivity lost from constant interruption far outweighs the occasional gain from a random chat. Tranquility, when you can secure it in the heart of the West End, becomes a huge structural advantage.
But that perspective sort of assumes that the only work that matters is that individual, heads down deep work. For dynamic businesses, the efficiency of information flow and cultural integration are just as vital. By, you could say, forcing interaction, Fitzrovia ensures silos don't form, that knowledge gets shared. If collaboration is messy, well, so be it. That friction is often where real innovation happens. So how does St. James's, with its little enclosed offices, stop teams from stagnating or becoming isolated?
By providing clear boundaries and targeted interaction rather than relying on forced, low-quality ambient noise. Small teams can collaborate perfectly well in a controlled meeting and then go back to their private space to execute. St. James's provides the infrastructure for focused work, which is arguably the highest value activity a business does. Its design promotes clarity. It minimizes the energy people have to spend just trying to concentrate. The Fitzrovia model, I think, risks creating an environment of perpetual partial attention, which undermines the very quality of the collaboration you're trying to champion.
That's an interesting way to put it. Let's shift to the amenities then. The whole debate over, let's call them culture boosters versus daily functionality. The things in Fitzrovia, like the pool table, they get dismissed as frivolous. But I see them as crucial cultural anchors. They signal a management philosophy that actually values employee well-being. These features, this unique charm, are part of a very calculated strategy to boost commitment and reduce staff turnover. It's an investment in, experiential ROI.
I come at it from a different way, a different kind of ROI. Let's just look at the raw utility. Fitzrovia offers a pool table. St. James's offers dedicated administrative support, showers, and a kitchen. So when the St. James's listing mentions Green Park is nearby for a lunchtime stroll or to go jogging, the showers aren't a distraction. They are a direct enabler of employee wellness and efficiency. For a small business of 10 highly paid professionals, having a reception team handle scheduling and deliveries, that operational friction is a direct multiplier of billable hours. The cost of hours lost to low-value tasks just dwarfs the benefit of a game of pool.
I see your point, but the pool table and the lounge serve the entire 9,000 square foot collective. They facilitate informal networking between all the different businesses in the building, which is a key part of the value that community feel. The amenities at St. James's, like the showers, cater purely to an individual's needs. Fitzrovia is optimizing for cross-firm collaboration. St. James's is optimizing for internal efficiency. One is about growth potential, the other is about current state execution.
But you have to consider utilization rates here. I mean, how often is that pool table really being used to broker a multi-million-pound deal versus just being a quick diversion? On the other hand, administrative support is a 100% utilization feature that cuts down on organizational drag every single hour of the day. It's an infrastructure investment that yields tangible, measurable returns. So for small elite teams, the St. James's design prioritizes functional infrastructure that directly supports profitable work, and that's far more critical.
We also have to talk about the location itself. Fitzrovia is deliberately positioned in the very heart of London's exciting West End, right near major tube stations like Good Street and Oxford Circus, surrounded by world-class restaurants. That hyper-accessibility, that integration into city life is frankly a non-negotiable for many creative and tech firms trying to recruit young talent. The energy of the hotspot is part of the appeal.
See, I disagree that maximizing external chaos is a virtue for an office. The St. James's location is also, undeniably prime. It's on Piccadilly, near Mayfair, but it makes a strategic choice to be on a quiet street. And that distinction is critical. They are leveraging the prestige of the area. They even note the proximity to smart restaurants while actively insulating their tenants from the noise and the constant traffic you get in the exciting West End.
But doesn't that insulation suggest the kind of,
I don't know, a lack of dynamism? The Fitzrovia model is embracing the chaos of the West End as a signal of its forward-thinking approach.
I'd say it suggests a prioritization of focus over flash. The kind of client looking at St. James's is likely prioritizing prestige, yes, but they're also demanding an environment for sustained, undisturbed work. They want to be near the high-end amenities for clients, but they don't want the operational headache of a massive transport hub right outside their door. They're paying a slight premium for cognitive distance and, well, for professionalism.
So you're suggesting that minimizing noise is more valuable than maximizing accessibility.
This listing implicitly understands that high-level problem-solving requires a low-stimulation, stable environment. They're investing in an architecture that supports intellectual rigor, whereas Fitzrovia seems to be investing in an architecture that supports social networking.
It really seems we're defining success and growth potential very differently. I champion the Fitzrovia property for its ability to attract talent through a dynamic, culturally rich environment, all facilitated by these large collaborative spaces. It's a strategic investment in scaling your business across 9,000 square feet.
And I maintain that the capacity for execution is what's paramount. So I champion the St. James's environment for letting small, high-value teams execute complex work without interruption, supported by focused services and a prestigious yet tranquil base. The design is engineered to minimize friction, both psychological and administrative.
So to summarize my position, the Fitzrovia model offers a compelling scaled vision of the future workspace. It leverages 9,000 square feet, open-plan creativity, and community features to foster maximum collaboration and dynamic cultural growth, all at a competitive price. It's really an investment in cultural capital.
And to summarize mine, while Fitzrovia offers scale, the St. James's model provides the non-negotiable elements for real productivity: private, quiet offices, high-utility features like showers, and essential admin support, all within a strategically insulated, tranquil environment. It's a design focused on maximizing the immediate output of expensive, expert teams.
I think what this material really shows is a sophisticated split in the London office market. You have some firms that prioritize culture, atmosphere, and the potential for spontaneous synergy.
While an equally sophisticated part of the market prioritizes an architecture that reinforces privacy, high-touch service, and yes, deliberate insulation from the metropolitan hustle. The optimal choice is entirely dependent on whether a business prioritizes maximizing chance encounters or minimizing the psychological cost of distraction. We'll leave it to the listener to weigh the evidence from these two listings based on their own philosophy.